Replacing yourself in sales is probably one of the most important parts to scaling your agency, coaching, or online service-based business past $1 million every single year in cash collected. If you're watching this, you're either still taking sales calls with your business, trying to replace yourself to really grow, or you have closers and appointment setters on your team currently that are just underperforming. So in this video, I'm going to be running through exactly step-by-step how to replace yourself in sales and hire closers and setters to effectively scale past 100K a month plus. And if you don't know me already, my name's Tom Hyder. I'm the founder of Systemized Scaling. We're a sales, recruitment, and management and optimization company which places sales reps into businesses and allows them to increase their show rate, close rate, average order value, and general sales metrics as a whole. So let's start with number one, the sales replacement pre-checklist. The thing is, if the fundamentals of your business aren't at a certain level, then however many times you try to replace yourself or hire closers and setters, it's just never gonna work. So the first metric I want to look at is your show rate. Typically, at a bare minimum, you should have a show rate of around 55 to 65% if you want closers and setters to stay into your business. Now, the issue if you have a show rate lower than this is sales reps are just going to get really annoyed, they're going to get frustrated, and they're going to eventually leave, which is just going to waste your time and your money. The next metric that is really important to track before you hire sales reps into your business is your close rate. Now, founders typically have a higher close rate than anyone else, and the reason being is they have more confidence, they have more energy into the offer, and they're on all the marketing, right? So if your closing rate isn't at least 20 to 25%, if it's anything below that, then you shouldn't be hiring sales rep, because what's going to happen is you'll get a closer on board and they're typically going to close maybe 10, 15% lower than your usual rate. I'm not saying 25% down to 15%. I'm saying in general, in terms of the whole metric. So let's say you're closing at 20% and you get a closer on board. Typically, they're going to close at maybe at 15, 17.5%. And that is definitely not scalable. So what I always advise to every founder and business that I work with is aim to find the leaks that's stopping your closing rate from being at least a 20 to 25, if not 30% consistently. And this is exactly why every single client me and my team take on board to replace themselves in sales, one of the first phases of working with them is fixing their closing rate, show rate, and making sure we do a full deep dive audit into their business to see what can be optimized before we place talent into the ecosystem. And lastly, one of the last metrics to track is booked calls. You don't want to be booking 5 calls a week because closers are going to get really annoyed because they're not taking any sales calls. I'd say the average minimum of sales calls you should be booking before you hire a closer is about 10 to 15 every single week, optimized based on, let's say, a 60% show rate. With setters, you don't really need to have loads of book calls, but you need to make sure they're going to be earning enough. So if you want to put them on solely commission-based, 5% commission, they have to have enough lead flow to be able to book enough calls and close enough deals. Alternatively, if you don't, I'd put them on a small base of maybe $500 to 1,500 USD plus a bit of commission, just so they stay longer and they're actually motivated. The next step is finding the talent, arguably one of the most important steps of all. So of course, there are 2 different type of hires that you need to know about, which you probably know already, which is an appointment setter to book more sales calls and a closer to take sales calls for you. Now, of course, you are the judge of which one you need the most right now, but moving on to actually hiring the sales rep, we have an internal pipeline that we hire from for every single client that we base off offer compatibility, experience, skill set, and charisma, and lastly, emotional intelligence. Now, that is the main metrics that we actually look at when hiring sales reps. So if you don't have a hiring pipeline, which my guess is a lot of you probably wouldn't, what you can do is you can look in sales communities, you can ask for referrals from different closers who are on offers of different closers they know, you can ask for sales managers' opinions or recommendations, and finally, business owners that you know in your network who can recommend you different closers. But it can be hard typically if you don't have a good source. Now, once you've found that source, you typically want to vet them and not waste your time on loads and loads of interviews. So what I do is I ask for an introductory loom or short video from every single sales rep that wants to apply. And what I'm looking for on this video is I'm looking for energy, right? Energy is the one thing that can't really be taught for closers, right? All of the sales tips and tricks and the word tracks, yes, they can be taught and it's good that they have them already. But the main thing I'm looking for is charisma, energy, and the people that stand out. And what you want to do is the people that stand out, you want to shortlist them into initial interviews. You want to take as many interviews as you like with the candidates that stand out in those Loom videos. Now, just real quick, if you are looking to take your business to the next level, replace yourself in sales, and have me and my team hire sales reps for you and train them up and fix the leaks into your business, click the link below, watch the short video overlining the offer, and feel free to book a free business audit below, and we can run through exactly what the leaks are into your business. Worst case scenario, you get some free advice and you can move on. But moving back to the video. Now, for setters, whether it be DM setters or dialers, what you want to look at is energy, grammar, and general intelligence. I have hired so many setters in the past that just lack general intelligence. So what I look for now is I look for people who have initiative. Setters are typically pretty early on in their experience level in the whole sales game as a whole. So it's very, very hard to find one that isn't too ambitious that wants to immediately go in a closing role, and one that isn't too lacking in intelligence, if I want to put it really politely. So the main things with setters is general work rate. How hard are they willing to work? What is their offer compatibility level? Meaning, are they happy with the earning potential that you can give them? With closers, what you want to look for is examples of experience speaking to the specific type of prospect that you get on calls. For example, if a closer is really, really good, but they specialize more in B2C sales, mums, young kids, selling courses, etc., then you probably don't want to hire someone if your offer is speaking more to high-level B2B or high-level B2C, people who have businesses, people who know the game. And for all hires, one of my main things that I look for is offer compatibility, which I've mentioned a couple times in this video. That is essentially how much of a match is this person to the amount that they can earn and the progression that they can actually make in this company, right? So if this sales rep wants to get to 20K a month by the next 3 months and your offer is doing about 50, 100K a month, the likelihood is they're probably going to cap at about 5, 10K in terms of commission every single month. So you've got to ask yourself this question: are they going to stay? Are they going to be a flight risk? And lastly, with hiring talent, any indication of low energy, robotic tonality, and laziness should be an immediate red flag, and you should just swerve this like the devil. Moving on to onboarding and ramp up, the third stage of hiring and replacing yourself in sales. This is the make or break for hiring sales reps. If you don't get this right, this is going to cost you potentially loads of sales calls, loads of ad spend, and loads of potential cash collected that could have been brought in for your business. So in this stage, sales rep skill isn't as important because discovery, objection handling, the actual techniques of selling can be taught and adapted fairly quick if you have a good enough sales rep. What's most important, what me and my team focus on the most, is the actual offer itself, the pitch, the frequently asked questions, actually understanding an offer. Because if a sales rep jumps on a sales call and they don't seem like an authority, if they don't seem like they know the offer enough, then it's very easy for a prospect or a potential close to just switch off and just not respect them. So week one is really, really important. You don't want to put them on sales calls yet. This is all about getting them up to scratch with the pitch, with frequently asked questions, any objections that typically come up. Now, if you have a decent amount of sales call recordings that you're pretty happy with the sales rep matching or modeling, feel free to send as many as over for them to go over in their spare time. Or you can just run through on a call training, running through the call recording and just going through important tips. Now, if you don't have any call recordings that are good models that you want them to match, then I would just do role plays, okay? So just to recap, this first week is all about getting them up to scratch with the offer. And if you feel like within these 7 days, you feel like the sales rep is ready, then feel free to just put them on partial calendar. Okay, so I would say 2 to 4 sales calls a day just to monitor their performance. Now, really, really important to give them as many short feedback loops as possible. And I'm not saying 10 points for them to improve on every single time. You want to give them 1 to 3 needle movers so you don't overwhelm them. Similar for an appointment setter, but the difference is you can get them ramped up doing dials or doing DM sets as quick as possible, right? You can just roam into the deep end, but the most important part for both of these sales reps is consistent feedback on a daily basis, especially for the first 2 weeks. Now, number 4 in this whole step and framework is full-time availability. After the first 7 days of being on partial calls, what you want to do is monitor their performance. If they seem like they're implementing feedback, they're improving pretty well, and maybe they get the first close, yes, you can put them on full-time availability. Just to stress, these first 2 weeks, look, I wouldn't be expecting them to close millions out the gate, right? Yes, if they get a close, it's good, but what's most important is they are showing signs of improvement. So after day 7, typically I like to put sales reps on a full calendar, and I want to do 5 days, Monday to Friday, of daily training. Okay, call reviews, role plays, pitch practice, frequently asked questions, objection handling, anything that they need to focus on, giving them 1 to 3 needle movers every single time. After they get to the point where, they're closing at above a 25-30% closing rate, they're really consistent. Yes, you can dial this down to around 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If you have the time though, I'd definitely jump on daily team meetings or trainings. Now, lastly, a good metric to follow to see if your closer is on track is 15 to 20 live calls that they've taken. They should be at around a 15, maybe even a 20% closing rate. And the bare maximum is 50 live calls. If they're not at least a 20% closing rate, either you cut them there and then a final replacement, or you can just gauge if they're on the right track, if you feel like they are going to improve and maybe they've just had a few bad luck deals. Number 5 in this whole process is tracking and data. Now, every single client we take on board, we build them out a data tracker in Looker Studio and track key metrics. And I'm going to show you right now. So this is a client I took on last week, and these are all of the metrics that we like to track. So book calls, live calls, no-shows, cancel calls, close calls, of course, cash collected, cash contracted, cash collected installments, total cash, average order value, close rate, show rate, qualified call rate, cancellation rate, unqualified calls. Okay, so we like to build this out for every single team that we take on board with all the specific closes, the date range. These are fake data just because we're onboarding setters and dialers right now. But for the DM setter side of things, you want to track effort metrics and skill set metrics. Now, all of these different metrics are a mix between the two. Skill set is, of course, to track which one's the most skilled, and effort is to track if they're actually putting the effort in. Okay, so propose rate, close rate, set to close rate, etc. You can track this from each setter as well to see which one to prioritize with the maximum amount of leads. Same with the dialing side of things. Hours work, booking rate, set to close, pickup rate, propose rate. All these metrics are really, really important in tracking if your setter or your closer is on the right track and what specific things to change in your business based on data alone. That is pretty much it. That's the video. There is a lot more nuances to hiring and placing setters and closers, but that's pretty much a lot of what you need to know in order to have a really successful replacement in sales. Now, finally, if you want me and my team to come in and do all of this for you, build out the data trackers, hire, source, and train sales reps, or if you have current sales reps that are underperforming, come in and either replace them or train them up, then book in a call below, click the link, and it'll bring you to a video going through the offer. And if you feel like you're interested, jump on a call and we can go through the exact metrics in your business that are lacking and a plan to improve them. Worst case scenario, like I said, is you get some free value that you can implement yourself. Have a good one.